All right, what's good, family? We're back for another episode of the Dear Fathers podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Alex, also the co-founder of Dear Fathers, which is the premier media platform dedicated to telling stories of Black fathers while providing resources for Black men. I'm super excited today, man, about the guest that we have. I've been a fan, since I was a kid. I'm pretty sure all you have too. If not, something got to be wrong. But I want to get straight into it, man, with the introduction, man. I would like to welcome former NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA MVP, 3 times Finals MVP, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA scoring champ, one of, if not the most dominant NBA basketball player to ever play the game. Also an actor, rapper, entrepreneur, DJ, podcast host, doctor, and Mr. Icy Hot and amazing father, Shaq. Welcome to the Dear Fathers podcast, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. I'm a big fan of your podcast, brother.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that was a long introduction I just did, man. But I got a question for you because I find you to be quite the funny guy, man. I laugh at you all the time, whether it be your podcast or, on TNT. Is comedian ever in the works for you? Like, you ever plan to do stand-up comedy one day?
Actually, no. Comedy kind of scares me because, when you're in the basketball setting, playing with four other guys, if my game ain't starting off great, I miss 3 or 4 shots, at least somebody can pick it up and we can still maintain the momentum of the crowd. I'm a big fan of comedy, and I've seen a lot of comedians, those first 2, 3 jokes don't hit, and then you're done. So, and then not only that, I would be, if I was to get into comedy, I would have to be raw and dirty. One of my favorite comedians is Mike Epps,
Okay.
Corey Holcomb, Cat Williams, guys like those. I like comedy because I'm not sensitive. I tell all comedians out there, new and old, if you want to say something about me, be my guest.
Right.
I don't get sensitive. I don't let certain things bother me. I like to laugh. Laughing and music is the biggest stress relief person. I don't think people realize that.
Nah, I could agree with that 100%, man. But I love your banter and kind of, like you said, you make me laugh, but I respect your response on that, man. And, as we kind of talked about, our platform is all about safe spaces for Black men and Black fathers. So we all know you, man, as, Shaq, the basketball player, the businessman, the guy with 100 jobs, the guy on NBA on TNT. But I'm curious to know, like, who are your friends? Who is that safe space for Shaq? Who is kind of that village for you to go to when you just kind of need people to talk to?
Well, my mother, my mother and my father passed away about 10 years ago, but my mother is always the person that keeps me out of trouble, the person that is responsible for all the great things that I do. I always tell the story about Shaq Claus. We've been doing Shaq Claus for 27 years. So when I first got to Orlando, some people describe this term as giving back. But we were in Orlando, and my mother was speaking at a Boys and Girls Club, and because it was Shaq's mom showing up, I guess they thought I was going to be there. So it's supposed to be like 50 kids, about 500 to 1,000 kids showed up, and a lot of those children expressed to my mother that they were not getting any toys on Christmas. And when I was affiliated with Toys R Us, there was an alarming stat that said 15 to 20 million children will wake up on Christmas Day and not receive one single gift. So she calls me and she does something she never does. She says, "Hey, can I borrow some money?" And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, baby, I want to buy some gifts for some of these kids because they're not getting anything." And I said, "No, you can't do that. I'll take care of it." And me being a mama's boy, I always want to make my mama proud. Didn't have a plan, but on the way home, saw U-Haul. You can rent 3 of those vans for $29 each. So me, Ken Dog, my Chef Alex, we rented 3 vans and we went to Toys R Us and we wiped them out. I called my mother the next morning and said, "Tell them I'll be over there about 2 o'clock. Tell them I have 2 chairs and 2 of those Santa Claus hats. I'll be sitting down, you'll be standing up, and we'll give 500 kids 5 toys each. Good toys, not like promotion toys." And that's how Shaq Claus was started. So every great thing you see me do, I wish I could take credit here, but my mother and father is very, very responsible. I have an affinity of helping homeless people. It saddens me riding down the street and seeing 1, 2, or 3 people lay outside. So whenever I try to see a homeless person, I try to do as much as I can. So, they are the people that I go to. I still have a lot of friends in the NBA. I have a lot of business mentors that I look up to. And
Mhm.
You know, my job in this society is to entertain people, show our children the way, and
Mhm.
show them the pathway to success. You know, I
Yeah.
got this way by receiving information from certain people like Dr. J and Magic Johnson. So everything I do is an open book, and I talk to the children. I think the children still relate to me because I speak their language. I have tattoos, I got chains, I got whips, I got speakers in my car. So I let them know that, hey, the stuff that you're doing is either right or wrong. And I just, try to give them, a path. Look, everybody's not
Yeah.
going to be a basketball player. Everybody's not going to be a rapper, but everybody can go to school, pay attention, respect their parents, follow their dreams, and just, continue to fight.
No, that's beautiful, man. And two things to that, man. I'm kind of the same way with you. Like I hate driving down the street and seeing homeless people, and I try to help in any way I can. Obviously, not to the capacity that you can, but I think any help is needed. So I'm kind of I'm that same way. And the second thing, man, I love that in terms of your safe space being, your mom and your parents. I think that's really great that you can grow up to be an adult and still, find that safe space within your parents. So that's super dope. And I want to kind of just bring it back to just your upbringing, man. You told stories a lot about, your upbringing with your stepfather and your mom and things of that nature. And the amazing role that your stepfather played in terms of, making you the man that you are today. But at one point, you didn't know that your stepfather was actually your stepfather. You thought he was your real father. But once you found out that your dad, your stepfather wasn't your real dad, did you feel like a piece of you was missing once you find that out? And I asked that
No,
because I grew up without a dad as well, and I just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't use the term stepfather. So,
Mhm.
my mother and I, we met Sergeant Harrison, who I consider my father when I was 2. So I was young. And I know you heard the story. I'm in school one day. The kid asked me, "Why is your last name different?" So I went home and asked my mom, "Why is my last name different?" And at this time, we were living in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Good living for me. Growing up in the projects, moving from grandma's house, Bibi's house, like just, not really having anything of your own. So we were living in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. So I asked my mother, I said, "Why is my last name different?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to take you to see your real father." And it was right back where we were at in the projects. I
Yeah.
was like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm
Mhm.
good." So, but you asked about my upbringing. I describe it as the Karate Kid. And if you watch the Karate Kid, Daniel thought he had it rough. Do this for why? This, complaining, complaining. So everything that I had to go through disciplinary wise, I thought was rough. But now, the age of 50, all I can say is thank you. Like sometimes when I'm riding around in my car, I just look up and say thank you for teaching me discipline. Thank you for teaching me how not to make the same mistakes twice. When you grow up in a disciplinary household and you're scolded for making that first mistake, it gives you the ability to think. I was a medium juvenile delinquent instead of a high juvenile delinquent because it got to the point where, like around 9, 10, 11, I'd say, you know what? Should I go steal this car? And then I would think, okay, if we steal it and get away with it, I'm gonna be good with my boys. But if I get caught, I'm gonna get in trouble. Nah, y'all go ahead. I'm cool.
Right.
And then you come back the next day, and Kenny and Alex were arrested. So I was like, it gave me the ability to think. But no, I never said this is missing, and I want to go live with my real dad. I was happy where I was at. Had a lot of responsibility. They gave me another brother, 2 sisters, so I had to be the protector, the bodyguard, and he taught me everything I know. And again, I don't really use that term stepfather. He was the guy that made me who I am. All those accolades you read at the beginning, he told me that was going to happen. He said, if you listen to me, I'll make you one of the most dominant big men ever to play the game. So everything that I've accomplished is what my parents told me. They taught me how to believe. They taught me how to strive for it. And they taught me how to go get it.
Right. No, that's dope, man. I love to hear that. And salute to your father who kind of set that foundation for you to grow up to be who you are today, and rest in peace to him. Now I want to also take it back to, your rap career. You did have a song called Biological Didn't Bother. From having that song to then later on in life reconnecting with your biological dad, what sparked that? Like what sparked that in you to kind of make that reconnection?
So, we live in a world today where you want everybody to know your business. But it was 4 or 5 people that knew that, hey, Sergeant Harrison not his real dad, and I was inside the family. Nobody needed to know all that because I wasn't really saying, oh, that's my stepdad. My other wasn't saying that. So one day I'm walking and the guy hit me and said, man, you shouldn't do your father like that. I saw him on the Ricky Lake show. And then I was like, so I called my mom and I said, hey, what happened? And she said, your biological got on the Ricky Lake show. My thing was, why you ain't called me? So it was sort of a man thing, and he got on the Ricky Lake show, which was a nice long platform. Now everybody's asking me these questions, so I didn't want to have the conversation, so that's why I released that song. And I wasn't really thinking about the song, but listening to Pete Rock and CL Smooth, like this, I used to have to go in with the top producers and hidden. So I'm in there listening to that, and then he says, took me from a boy to a man, so I always had my father with my biological didn't bother. I said, hold on, stop that. So I told him, I said, hey, loop that, add some drums to it, and then, we're going to do it from there. So that's how that song came about. But after my father passed away, my mother asked me to reconnect with my father because he is a good man. He just has some problems, and I've learned not to judge. Like, as a black man growing up, he had some problems, and my mother forgave him. I forgave him, so we have a better relationship now.
Yeah, I can respect that and also resonate with that, man. I just reconnected with my father for the first time in 21 years. I'm 35 years old. I just reconnected with my dad. But crazy thing is, man, my dad can't talk and he's paralyzed from the waist down. So I'm getting to know would you say I'm getting to know him just by being around him. So like
Right.
I was curious for you, like, what that spark was. And I also wanted to know, like, since you made that decision to reconnect with him, do you feel like that impacted you as a man or a father today? Like, did that have any impact on you just making that decision to make that reconnection? And do you still talk to him to this day?
Yeah, we still talk. So first thing I told him, it ain't no hard feelings.
Mhm.
Like mother, Phil raised me, great, successful. I'm not one of these people that go back 30 years and you wasn't in my life. If you wasn't in my life, they wouldn't say I'm the most dominant player. They would say I'm up there with Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan. Like, I don't. So I just said, hey, as a black man, I know the struggles, of relationships. I know the struggles, and I just know the mental stress and all that. So I forgive you. We don't ever have to talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
just go from here. So we talk. And first thing I did, which was kind of crazy. Well, not crazy, but it was cool. So because I used to go to this restaurant in Newark, and the main chef, every time I come in, he would cry, but he would never say anything. So then my mother called me and she said, hey, I hear you in Jersey, go look for your father. So I called my other uncle, who's a cop. I said, hey, find my father. We couldn't find him that day. And then as soon as I get on the plane, he said, yo, bro, you ain't going to believe this today. You know that restaurant you always go to, Vonda's? He lived right in the building. So next time I came back in, I went to Vonda's and I said, hey, man, where you at? I know you live in this building. He's like, where you at? And he's like, I said, I'm at the restaurant. And then he said, hey, my chef guy friend works there. And I said, this. So I talked to the guy. I said, yo, why you always crying? He said, man, because your dad lived up there. And he always told everybody in the restaurant, when you come, don't bother him. Like, they were very, very respectful. So I called him. He came an hour and a half later. I said, yo, man, what you doing? He said, I had to walk. I said, all right, get in the car. So I bought him a little car. I said, my man, I don't come to Jersey a lot, but when I come and say, come see me, don't have me waiting an hour and a half. So it's just been cool, good relationship. I realize I have other brothers who I'm mad and shook hands with, but like I said, first thing I told him is, brother, I don't judge you. I'm not mad at you. Because, he was one of the top basketball players in Newark at the time and got a scholarship to Seton Hall. And I think he went to jail for a check scandal, and he was dealing in narcotics. But, even though I'm big time and successful, who am I to judge him? You never know what a person's going through. So first thing I told him was, hey, man, what's up? I love you. All that shit that happened back in the day, I don't want to talk about it. It don't matter. We're here now.
Yeah, no, that's dope, man. And I kind of I feel the same way because at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? Like whatever our titles are, son, father, mother, brother, we're all humans and we all make mistakes, especially in our younger years of life. So being that you can grow up and just not have that judgment placed on him and be able to build a relationship for whatever that's worth, that resonates with me, because that's where I'm at in my journey and building that relationship with my dad, despite his faults when I was growing up. But I want to, kind of take it back to 1996, man. Like, I think that was like maybe your first year on the Lakers. You were superstar heights. You were evolving as this megastar basketball player, but you also became a first-time father in 1996 as well. Like, I'm curious to know, like, what were you looking forward to and what were you concerned about at that time, juggling like being a superstar athlete, but then also coming into this new title of being a first-time father?
Growing up with my father, Sergeant, he teaches you man's job is to protect, provide, and love. Period. Like I could remember times like on Christmas, he said, "Hey man, when you have daughters, you'll understand this. The daughters want the Barbies and the Barbie house and the Barbie cars. I can't afford all that shit right now. So let me take care of the ladies first, and then I'll get back to you." So with me having a daughter, I know I was gonna have to be in super, super protective mode. And I realized you're also gonna have to protect the mother. Like I'm not one of those guys, I'm in a mansion, they're in an apartment. Don't work like that. They get what I get, they get treated how I treat it. And I was pretty selfish at first. I was like, damn, I want a boy, I want a boy. But my girls, I don't want my guys to hear this and feel disrespected, but got a lot more love for the girls than I do for the boys. So it
Yeah.
was and they like especially when they call you daddy and they're young and they hold on to you. It was wonderful. And then I just kept having babies after that, and I just knew I had to become much more responsible. But the
Right.
main thing I wanted to do was always lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents always stressed education, so not only did I want to stress education towards them, I also wanted to show them.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell them all the time that our life is not a real life. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, people like us don't get to grow up and have chefs every morning and have boy nannies and girls nannies. So this is a blessing to have, but you also have to be able to get it on your own. So I really stress education, and I used to get very very tickled when I go to the parent teacher meetings and they address me as Dr. O'Neill. And like my kids, like, "You're a doctor?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a doctor." What does it mean? Like I went to school, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. So I just try to always lead by example. And then these days are different. Uh, my father had the heavy discipline hand. My hand is not heavy at all, especially with the girls. I could look at the girls funny and they break down, which I don't do a lot. And then the boys, I just give them this face right here, and it works. And they didn't have as many trials, negative trials and tribulations like I had. And when I was growing up, go to the corner store and give me some bread. But on the way, you see the homies, you see the drug dealers, you see the gangsters, you see the pimp. Just like walking by 5 houses, you would see all that. But my father always said, "Be a leader, be a leader, be a leader, be a leader." And I didn't know what being a leader was until I joined the NBA. So I used to be like, I'm not. Whatever was cool, whatever was fun, that's what I was going to do.
Right. No, that's cool, man. And I love to hear stories like that. But I want to touch on something that you said in terms of like your children and, obviously they didn't have to grow up like you and things of that nature. But, one quote that you said a minute ago, you were like, "We ain't rich, I'm rich." And I want to know, like, from your perspective, like, you kind of mentioned like, being big on your kids earning instead of being handed to them. What lessons do you hope to instill in them by, teaching them that structure? And do you ever budge on that at all? Like, do they get you
No, I
in the
don't.
corner?
So just about 3 weeks ago, I took my son Sharif to a wealth conference and all these successful guys. And I think I might have to start doing this. Walmart family makes all the people in the Walmart family, cousins, friends. You want to work for Walmart, you have to take a psychological test.
Mhm.
And based on the psychological test, they know where to put you. And they make you start from the bottom. So
Yeah.
one of the Walmart sons who's very successful being in Arkansas, he said it. He got on stage and said, "Hey, my father, who was one of the top Walmart guys, had me shoveling horse shit for 3 years."
Mhm.
Right? Start from the bottom. Another story is I'm playing for the Miami Heat. and an article drops in the paper that the grandmother of the owner left the owner's two kids 250 million each
Mm.
at 18 years old. Just left them 250 million each. So I come in to work out late one night, and the son, the one that got 250, is in the bathroom cleaning up the bathroom.
Mm.
So I went to the owner. I said, no disrespect, sir, but I saw your mom left your son some money. I
Yeah.
said, and I saw your son in the bathroom. He said, yeah, Shaq. When I started building ships, my father had me working at the shipyards. He said,
Mhm.
you got to make everybody start from the bottom. He says, if you hand it to them, it could be at a disadvantage. And then I go back to all my other rich friends who have the spoiled kids who got the same car that I'm driving. And like I used to live from across the street from the guy who invented the magnetic strip.
Mm.
And he had a son. This motherfucker was off the chain. Just put it that way. So I said, you know what? And, we always talk about generational wealth and stuff like that. So, I earned it the respectable way. So I think it'd be respectable if they earned it the, respectable way. I still spoil the girls and all that, but I try not to, you know, spoil them too much.
No, I love that, man, because it's like they're your kids, so you're gonna have them regardless, but making them work and earn and just understand what structure is, understand what discipline is. I think those are the lessons that you're teaching, and I think that's great because it's all needed as we grow into adults and we grow into parents of our own and things of that nature. But I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about obviously we know your relationship with Kobe Bryant as teammates, as champions, as competitors. We talk about you having your first child in 1996. Kobe had his first child in 2003, which was on like the back end of y'all, dynasty and things of that nature. Did you guys ever talk about like fatherhood, or did he ever get any advice from you or anything like that in that era of
No,
things?
no, to each his own. I just, I'm following the hierarchy that my parents left me, minus the heavy discipline. So, especially with me being in and out all the time, I was more like the play toy when I got home. And
Mhm.
I was one dude who really had to spread love. But, it's, we come, we stay 2, 3 hours. It's all basketball and practice. We don't really get into personal stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then, like, I live with, I don't live with, I have access to a million grand wizards. Aunt Vivi's an expert. My mama's an expert. Aunt Velma's an expert. Uncle Mike is an expert.
Right.
Cooney's an expert. Grandma Cheryl's an expert. So I have a lot of people that I watch and a lot of people that like for example, when you first have the baby, you don't hold the head right. Hey man, put your hand on it they teach you these things. So I had a lot of people around me.
Mhm. No, that's cool, man. I definitely get that. But I also wanted to that point, man, like, in today's world, the NBA is a lot different than it was, back in the day. You got a lot of younger guys coming up. We got social media, the contracts are a lot larger. These guys are also fathers as well. Do you have any advice for those younger guys growing up in the NBA who are also fathers and they're juggling,
It's
what
just
that looks like? They're juggling the contracts, they're juggling social media. Like, any advice for those guys?
you have to keep it simple. And this is advice is not just for NBA players, for all men. Protect, provide, and love. A
Mhm.
lot of men can give you 2 out of 3, but I think people in our position, we can give you 3 out of 3. We can
Yeah.
always protect, we can always provide, we can always love. And I learned when I got my first daughter, don't bring that shit home.
Mhm.
Bad game, miss free throws, don't come home with a crazy look on your face. They don't care anyway. So as soon as I hit that door, it's you want to go swimming, or you want to do this, you want to play dog man, and you want to play Uno. So and stuff like that helps you because a lot of people that carry that stuff, it makes you develop certain mental things and makes you act a certain way. So I
Mhm.
learned how to when I stepped in the house with the babies, turn it off.
They can feel that energy, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So you got to turn it off at the door. And I'm, kind of just learning that too as well. Like, that energy can be felt throughout the house. You know what I'm saying? Rough day at work, rough day, well, whatever the case may be, learning how to turn it off is definitely always important, man. And for your fatherhood journey, you kind of been doing a blended family thing since you first became a father, right? You had, your firstborn daughter, and then you got married and you had additional kids, and I think your wife at the time, she brought in an additional kid, and then now you're single, but then your ex-wife, she's remarried, so you guys are still doing the blended family thing. What's that been like for you, or what's the key to success in terms of like just having a blended family and making it all work and gel together?
Well, it is not that the family are blended. My children are all adults now, so they're not really kids. I
Yeah.
think I can answer that question if they were 3, 4, and 5, but my youngest is 18 and leaving in about 60 days to attend college. But again, it's all about protecting, providing, loving, and respecting, and having conversations. It was definitely hard, but we definitely worked it out. One thing I can say about my 7 babies, perfectamundo, have no problems at all.
No, that's what's up. And to that point, man, like Deion Sanders always does this thing where he says who his favorite kid is. Do you ever like secretly rank your kids? And if so, like who's your favorite today?
My girls get more privileges than my guys, and my guys understand that, and they know not to question that. They know not to question. But they're all beautiful. They're all different. It's not about having a favorite. It's about being in your present mind. And again, I know people that have a lot of kids and struggling. I have no struggles over here. Like when I say perfect, I really mean perfect. Biggest compliment for me is, man, I met your oldest daughter. She's so smart. That's bigger than, man, I met your oldest daughter and we heard you gave her 300. Like having comments like, man, I met your son, Sharif. He's so nice. That's the biggest compliment a parent can get because it meant that me and their moms did a wonderful job. Mostly their moms, but
Yeah.
as a man, if you honor that PPL, you should be okay.
Right. Now, to that point, man, I feel like, when somebody talks to my mom and they tell her, like, oh, Jesse's a good guy, boom, 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 I could tell she feels good about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I can understand your point in terms of that. But also, you mentioned like your youngest kid right now is 18. So, like, I don't know how soon this will happen, but what does Grandpa Shaq look like? What is Shaq as a grandpa? What does that look like for you?
I tell them don't bring them babies around till I'm 2 because I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna give them everything they want,
Hmm.
toys, riding around. Uh, I try not to think about that, but I know it's happening one day. And we're a family of adjusters. So when things happen, when we get certain information, we know how to adjust. I know I'm gonna be the coolest, youngest, flyest grandpa in the world. So, but I'd rather get it when they're 2 than when they're walking.
No, I feel that, man. That's pretty cool. So for me, like, again, our platform is all about safe spaces. We actually have an initiative called Straight Mental where we connect Black men to Black mental health professionals. And as somebody on the outside looking in, I watched, a lot of your interviews and the conversations that you have. And just it seems like there's been a lot of self-reflection and healing on your journey to becoming who you are today. Was therapy involved in that? And if so,
No,
like,
we just realized when again, I'm programmed not to make the same mistake twice. And you realize when certain things happen after when you sit back and look, and you're like, I probably could have did that better.
Mhm.
Probably could have did this better. Probably could have did that better. And it's just about being honest. Like I don't do these blogs. You ask a question, I'm gonna respect you and answer the question. I try not. To, I wish I was perfect. I know I'm not perfect, but whenever I make a mistake, I like to let people know that I made certain mistakes. And then I realized that mental health is a real thing, and doesn't matter who you are, what you have, how much money you make. But the way I get out of it is I always look at myself and say, it could be worse.
Mhm.
I heard the saying the other day, a guy was complaining about, I ain't got no shoes. What about the guy that ain't got no feet?
Mm.
So I'm blessed, healthy, doing great things. I don't really have room to complain, so I don't. Like,
Right.
so like when I get down, I just do it, man. Stop bullshitting and bitching. It could be worse. Man up and figure it out.
No,
And
I
that's how.
got you. No, I got you. And I'm pretty sure that kind of mindset came from your father, right? Is that how you were raised? And that's kind of what you're taking on now? And do you kind of speak those same things into your kids when things come up too as well?
Yeah, I just always tell them to figure out, but like no, it's like it could be worse. In my line of work, 79% of all professional athletes have no income when they're
Mhm.
done. I do very well. So shut it up, stop complaining, and move on.
And to that point, man, we all know you got 100 jobs, right? Like, there's thing called mom guilt, right? But we like to talk about dad guilt here at Dear Father. So you NBA TNT, got all these different endorsements and things like that. Do you ever feel any guilt in terms of the time that may not have to do certain things with your kids based on all the things that you have working, all the
Yet,
things that you got going on?
yes, but they understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's our job from 0 to 18 to lead them and show them correct path. Now that they're old, they really understand. They were so good at understanding. They knew that on game day, 12 to 3, play the quiet game. And you could hear them walking. Like if they got a little loud, I would open the door like, "Hey!" And they start running around because they think I was going to spank them. But listen, they understand. I've definitely missed a lot of time and broke a lot of hearts, but they really understand. And when they get old, I think they'll understand more.
Yeah, no, that's great that they can understand and did understand in your playing days and also understand now for you as a businessman. For you, you had so much success in your career, as a businessman, entrepreneur, all these different things you got going on in comparison to like, winning NBA championships versus having children, right? Like, do you get that same type of rush in terms of like those two things? Like, kind of compare and contrast what that feels like to you, like, having kids versus like, being successful in your career.
My new rush is going to be nepotism.
Oh
I
man.
look
Yeah.
at, I look at the other side and how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it on this side. So
Yeah. I
I
just had this conversation the other day, man. It was actually at our panel with the Dallas Mavericks. We were talking about that there. Like, for the Black community, we need to push towards nepotism a lot more because other cultures do it a lot. So I'm glad that you said it. And I think that's super important because a lot of times in the Black community, it's like, oh, no, I don't want nothing passed down to me. No, I'm going to get it out the mud. I'm going to do it this way. No, like we need to be passing down things. We need to have that, type of involvement for our kids. So I'm really glad that you said that.
yeah, because I have 6 kids and I tell them all the time, you don't need to be an NBA player. I
Mm-hmm.
like to see somebody operate a hedge fund. I like to see somebody at their own marketing firm. I like to see one of y'all go to law school. I like to see one of y'all, so have 7 opportunities to branch out and do other things like they do it.
Yeah. No, that's what's up, man. I love to hear that. But like, the father in you, the basketball player in you, did you ever, at some point, like, was it a wish for, one of your kids to make it to the NBA and kind of, explore those routes like you did? Was it ever a wish for you at one point?
Yeah, yeah, all of them, but I knew that they're not going to be as crazy as me. You got to be to do this. You have to be crazy. You have to do certain things. You have to act a certain way. And I never wanted them to be like that because it took me to 24 years to realize this. So you know how we are. I moved to Orlando. My first house is 4,000 square feet. Cool.
Mhm.
But this next one, my shit gonna be 25. You know why it's gonna be 25? Because in that development, I want the motherfuckers to say Shaq got the biggest house. But now when I go to Lakers and I come back, I see somebody shit 37. So I build mine to 40. And then I
Mhm.
come back the next year, somebody shit 60. I take mine to 67. Then I come back, it's a
It's
dude down the street.
unnecessary, man.
Yeah,
Unnecessary.
so then after mine is 67, it's a dude down the street, his is 80. So then I was like, okay, who is this guy? I said, man, he don't play sports. All right,
Mhm.
who that other guy? He a dentist. Who's this guy? He's in real estate. So now I'm saying to myself, basketball ain't the only thing that can make you big money like that. Like I know the world know how much I make. This is my house, but this dude house, his name was Siegel. He was
Yeah.
the father of timeshare. His house was 100,000 square feet. No, yeah, Westlake. Because his house is 100,000 square feet with an ice skating rink in the middle of Florida. So I
Yeah.
realized that, you know what? Sports is cool, but there's a lot of people making way more money than me that ain't never touched no basketball. And I would meet with these people and just talk to them. So I was like, you know what? With all these babies, we're gonna have to, branch out.
No, that's what's up, man. I love to hear that. And I think sometimes, like for me growing up in St. Louis in the inner city, like, sometimes for the Black community, it's like play ball or sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yep.
all we know. So being that you can make it out, be successful, and then show your kids different routes, I think that's super important, man. So, I truly appreciate just, all the gems that you shared and just all the, insight into who you are, as a Black man, as a father, because like I said, our platform is truly about safe spaces for Black men and Black fathers. And, a few things before we get out of here today, man. We have this segment that we do with all of our guests, where we have them write a hypothetical letter to their dad, starting with Dear Father. Now, you can choose if you want to combine them both. You can do it to, your father who's passed away, your father who's still living. But if you could write a short letter to your father, starting with Dear Father, what would you say?
My father wasn't big on conversation. My father was so hard when his mother passed away, he didn't even cry.
Mm,
First time he cried was after my third championship.
mm,
So when I tell people my life's about Karate Kid, tell you another story. Growing up, I won everything. I'm busting everybody's ass. So you know how it is. We play on the Saturday, we come back, we have the little cookout.
mm,
When I wake up on Sunday, those trophies are gone. Like you
mm,
put it like right on the table we eat, and I wake up on Sunday, motherfuckers are gone. You
mm,
don't ask them what's going on. So now I'm in the league. I don't pay for your house. I'm the man now. You be quiet. Hey man, what you do with all those trophies? Take me to the little room that he had built, show me all the trophies. I'm saying, why are you taking them away? He said, I never wanted you to be satisfied.
mm,
So he used to do little stuff like that. So my level of him would be, dear Philip, Sergeant Harrison, Butchie, thank you. Salam alaikum. You were right. Because he wasn't big on cut. Like I would say thank you, but get on out, like give me a hug. You don't be hugging on no plate. Like he was one of those guys. And so it ain't gonna be no long letter. It's gonna be thank you. Stuff that I do. And I got so much discipline from him. So my chef, we don't argue, but he's been working for 20 years. When he makes me a turkey sandwich, you're only allowed to use one. Alex, come tell him. Come tell him. Tell him you're only allowed to use one slice of turkey and one slice of cheese. Go and tell him. Am I lying?
No,
Yeah,
that's a fact.
that's a fact. He like to make these deluxe Jerry's Deli sound like no. Take that motherfucking turkey off. One
Right.
slice of
One
turkey.
slice.
One slice of turkey, one slice of cheese. So, but
No, that's beautiful, man. Like discipline is
yeah,
very important. So, like, it's good that your father taught you that, man. And I appreciate you. Although it was a short letter, I appreciate you sharing
yes.
that with our platform, man. I'm pretty sure everybody listening, watching today
Hey,
enjoys the
Des,
conversation.
Des Bryant did a letter. Was that on your show?
No, that was on the pivot. That was on the pivot, but I saw that too.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
really good. That was really good.
Yeah.
Yep, that was really good. And
I saw that.
also before we get out of here today, man, our platform is really big on fatherhood and culture. So I'm gonna play a little dad trivia with you today, and it's
Got it.
centered around rap songs. So I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna do 3 rap lyrics for you, and you have to tell me who each one is by. I'm pretty sure you well vested in the hip hop space and kind of know those things. So like I'm gonna spit out 3 rap lyrics to you centered around fatherhood, and I want you to tell me what artist said these lyrics. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the first one. They say the coolest players and foulest heartbreakers in the world. God gets us back. He makes us have precious little girls.
I don't know
No,
who
don't
that
don't be
one is.
looking around, man. Don't be
Yeah,
looking around.
I don't know who that one.
Nas, daughters.
Hold on. Well, can you just play it? Or no, you can't. No, if
Oh, I
you play
can't
it, I
play
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
That
might not have
Nas.
rapped it the right way, man. But
Yeah, that wasn't Nas. Yeah, that sound like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yeah.
I'm doing my best, man. I'm not a rapper, but I'll give you another
uh,
one.
uh,
Promise to never leave him, even if his mama tweaking, because my dad left me, and I promise never to repeat him.
that sounds like somebody down south. Future.
Nah, man, that's Jay-Z, New Day, man. Come on.
Man, that ain't no jigger, man. All right, one more.
I'm gonna give
Last
you
one.
one more, man. I know for a fact you're not gonna get this one if you ain't get the other two. But I'm
All
gonna
right.
give you the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
Dropped them off at school, big day for my little man. Recess hits. Daddy probably made another M. M is in million. This is a new school. This is
Drake.
a
Drake.
There you go. Yeah. How you get Drake, but you didn't get Nas or Jay-Z? What's
I know Drake, but I actually know them all. I just met.
yeah.
You know what? It wasn't my fault. It was your damn fault.
Again, man, not a rapper, and obviously I couldn't play it just because obviously you would have known who it was. But 1 out of 3 is cool, man. I appreciate you for taking part in Dad Trivia today. And before we get out of here, man, let the people know what you got coming up next, how they can follow you, and all that good stuff.
This is Shaq O'Neal. Check me out on TNT or check out my podcast, the Big Podcast on Players Network. What's it? Yeah, Playmaker Network and all that good stuff. But love you guys, and to all the dads out there, appreciate you hanging there. I know we all going through a lot of stuff, but we're men. We can handle it.
All right, thanks a lot, man. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dear Fathers podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and listen anywhere you get your podcast. Follow us on IG at Dear Fathers and stay tuned for more episodes. We'll see y'all next time.